Trudie Mason sitting in again. We're talking immigration now because there was an announcement this week that the Quebec Experience Program is being revived for 2 additional years at least. You will recall there was a big outcry last November when the CEQ government announced it was shutting it down, replacing this fast track to permanent residency with something called the Skilled Worker Selection Program. The problem is a lot of people ended up being left in limbo because they had come here thinking that they would be able to go through the steps and attain residency, only to be thrown into uncertainty about whether or not that would actually happen, or finding out no, they had no hope. Here to tell us more about how the revival of this program will affect those people and others, immigration lawyer Patrice Brunet is in studio with us. Patrice, thanks for coming in.
Morning, Trudie.
So what the province hopes is that up to 14,000 people will eventually qualify for the Revived Quebec Experience program. But there is a little hitch in that only certain people are going to be eligible. Can you walk us through the fine print on this revival?
Sure. So this was a program that was very popular because it really narrowed down those who had been working for at least 2 years in Quebec, who were francophone, who were currently in Quebec, and who were currently employed. So why wouldn't you want them to continue, towards permanent residency? So now they suspended and canceled the program. Now Fréchette made a promise that if she became premier, then she would revive the program. So she did, but not in the state that it was before. So it's a half solution, so it's not so bad. So the program is restarting July 2nd, just a few weeks from now. For those who qualified at the time that they suspended the program, and those who were eligible as of November 19th, 2025, so about 6 months ago. So there's 2 streams. There's a graduate stream, and there's the workers stream. So in order to qualify under the graduate stream, the candidate needs to hold an eligible Quebec diploma, bachelor's, master's, or PhD. Or technical DEC or DEP, and the diploma has to have been obtained within the last 3 years and must be in Quebec at the time of the application. And there's a language requirement, of course. You need to have level 7, 5, or to show that you've conducted your studies mainly in French. For the temporary foreign worker stream, you must be, again, in Quebec at the time of the application, 2 years of work experience in a job classified high enough, and must be currently employed in the job. Now, that program or those applications will be received only until October 31st of this year, 2026. The government has stated that there will be no limit on those who, on the application that they receive. Now, the question is how many? Government says 14,000, they're throwing numbers. They used to say that over 150,000 people would qualify. So I'm not trusting the numbers. I don't know how it'll turn out. But for this first phase of the program, what will be important to look at is also how long it will take for the government to process it. If they've established a ceiling, then maybe those who are in the program and eligible may still have to wait a year or 2 before they get their CSQ, which is the key to get the permanent residence afterwards. But I think that one of the other problems that candidates will face is that a lot of them, because of the uncertainty, have already started packing and went home. So a lot of them may have qualified back in November, but if they're back in France, they're back in Morocco, they're back in their country, they don't qualify because they need to be in Quebec and currently employed at the time of the application. Some of those had a work permit that expired in the meantime. So what do you do with those people? Well, they qualified back in November, but they don't qualify anymore. So those are off the wagon. And then there's going to be another phase. And that's undetermined how many they will accept, under which criteria, but they said that the program is reopened for another 2 years. So there's still a lot of uncertainty.
The people who are looking at possibly, it might take months, as you mentioned, it could take up to, how long is it going to take to process all these applications that are going to flood in from desperate people who are really trying to nail down what their status is going to be? Are they just, and they have to be in Quebec, are they just expected to carry on with either school or work during this period? Are they allowed to do that? Or
well, that's a different process. So they'll have to manage their status independently. So they will either have to renew their work permit, apply for a new work permit. So their status will have to be maintained. If they've lost their status, it's going to be challenging to regain a work permit or status.
How many people of the many who were affected by the cancellation of the program do you think are going to be disappointed by the way this thing has been revived?
Well, for sure, those who qualify or are currently employed and qualify under the program will be overjoyed or are overjoyed until they get the invitation, because it's going to be first come, first serve from what I understand. So starting July 2nd, the platform will open. And my advice is get your application in as quickly as possible, because if they reach that quota of 14,000, they may very well suspend either new applications or simply say, we will process your application next year. Now, we have elections coming up in October. There may be a change of government, and it could go in different directions. If the PEQ takes power and is a majority government, they have a very narrow view of future immigration in Quebec. They may take the decision to revert those decisions. Will they do it? I don't know, but that creates uncertainty. If the Liberals take power, they have a more open-minded view towards immigration, but they haven't spelled out what their plan would be on the PEQ. So that's probably one of the questions that will be part of the campaign.
Concerning the people who are actually working, you say they have to be working at a particular level. So are we not talking here about field workers on farms, for example? We're talking about other people doing other jobs?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, field workers were never eligible under the PEQ program. I don't want to get into the technicalities, but there's a national occupation list in Canada. It's a classification of all the positions, and they're classified by levels of hierarchy in a position, if I can frame it that way. So it's FAIR 0, 1, 2, 3. So those are eligible. So a manager, a director, someone who has a desk job usually will be able to qualify, but someone who does strictly manual work would not be able to qualify.
The initial application that has to, now that the period has been declared as opening in just a couple of weeks, is that something that someone can do on their own? Or now I am asking an immigration lawyer this question, but can you do it without an immigration lawyer? And is it simple enough so that right off the top you don't need legal advice?
A lot of people do it by themselves. As an immigration lawyer, we sign up clients who want to be comforted knowing that we will check all the boxes. And in the process of the application, people always have questions. Should I put in this document? What form should it have? We have the answers to that, so we can certainly anticipate how we can perfect an application. But it's certainly a system, just like you can go to court and represent yourself. You don't need a lawyer. A lot of people
It's not advised.
Well, I don't want to preach for my own church, but it is a full-time job for us to know how things have to be processed. And one thing you have to keep in mind is you don't have a second go at this. If you apply for your passport, as a Canadian, and you're missing a picture or you're missing a signature, the clerk at the desk will tell you. And so, you can perfect your application. In immigration, it's not at all like that. You don't get an email, you don't get a phone call asking you to perfect your application. The application has to be perfect once it's before the eyes of the officer. If it's not perfect, then you get a denial, and then our phone rings.
Okay.
And then maybe we can ask for a reconsideration, but sometimes the train has passed and we need to refile a new application.
Just briefly, and ballpark only, because I understand talking money is a delicate thing when you're talking about legal services. That initial help with the application to make sure it goes in correctly. Do most immigration lawyers charge by that service, or do they charge by the hour? What's the ballpark? Is it hundreds? Is it thousands?
It varies. You know, we're in a free market. Depends on the experience of the lawyer. Some will ask for a flat rate. A PEQ application is pretty predictable, so a lot of lawyers will have a flat fee. Will have a flat fee agreement, and some others will work on an hourly basis. But this is the type of application that can command $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in terms of fees when you're looking at flat fees. And some applications are more complex when you put in kids who need to renew their status in school, when you have a spouse who has a different situation. So it's good to ask that question to the lawyer before you retain him.
Patrice Brunet is the immigration lawyer we've been speaking to, Brunet, in case you want to look him up because you want to get all those I's dotted and T's crossed. Patrice Brunet, thanks for coming into studio. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Trudie.
Pride is like love. You feel it in your heart. iHeartRadio, Canada's #1 streaming app for radio and podcasts, including iHeart Pride Canada, your favorite hits, and must-have party bangers, plus personalized and curated playlists like Back in the Day Pride.
Come together, celebrate love.
Take Pride with you, anytime, anywhere. Just ask your smart speaker to play iHeart Pride Canada. Stream us on your phone or listen now at iHeartRadio.ca.